Welcome to Kcse English. This is a series of episodes aimed at helping learners to appreciate literary texts that are being examined at Kcse examinations. We are also interested in supporting digital learning. In today's episode, we conclude our discussion of John Steinbeck's The Pearl by looking at the moral lessons from the novel and the aesthetic aspects that the author brings to the novel for our appreciation. Let us now look first at the moral lessons and how we can apply this knowledge to our lives. In the study of literature, there is need to reflect on the moral lessons we learn from these stories. Literature becomes interesting and worth studying when we apply the lessons that we learn from these texts to our own lives. You will notice that even in the examination, we do not necessarily test what you crammed from the novel, but how you apply the knowledge that you acquired from the novel in your own lives. We are also interested in making sure that the novel or literature helps you build your language. In other words, really, the whole idea is to make sure that you appreciate the aesthetics of communication. And we get this aesthetics of communication from our study of literature. Let us begin by looking at what we can learn from the story of Kcse and his wife. I want you to imagine you are a Kcse. You have been summoned by the police to give an account of what has happened to you. Write a statement that you would give on the happenings. In order to do this, you need to know the story of Kcse very well. That is why students have no shortcut but to read the story again and again. Do not be cheated to only read guidebooks and notes or rely on the classroom lessons. Students should be made to imagine being any of the characters and recount everything that has happened. This is the way the story is moved closer to the student. You should think about the doctor in this novel and reflect about his actions. Then relate this to what you know a doctor should do in his profession. In other words, you'll be looking at the moral lessons that we get from this novel. Literature becomes interesting when we pleasurably prepare for examinations. The spirit of the examination is not to test what you crammed from the book. It is about how you benefited from the book. That is why students should be made to imagine various situations and relate these situations to the book. For example, the student should assume that he is one of the trackers or she is one of the trackers. And then imagine of what he can tell people they were doing while tracking Kcse. This way, the student is made to learn how to write a dialogue using the events in the set text. The novel also talks about exploitation. Students should think of a scenario when someone attempted to exploit them, or how a person that they know was exploited, and write what they did or what they would do in such a situation. This way, we expand the horizon of understanding of a text. Characters like the priest are interesting to study. We need to reflect on what they do. The learners should think of situations in our society where religious leaders have taken advantage of their followers and write about this in the context of the novel. Students should be asked to comment on the behavior and actions of the priest and other characters. Having looked at the application of what we have learned about characters and how to respond to various questions on this text, especially in relation to how we apply the knowledge we have gained from the text. Now let us look at the aesthetics of the narration in this novel. In telling this story, the author uses certain aesthetic devices. These are the devices that make the story interesting. We need to be aware of these devices. Take, for example, the use of personification. Personification happens when human attributes are given to non-human things so as to represent a clear picture in the reader's mind. We are, for instance, told that the town was pulsing and vibrating with the news. The wind cried and whisked in the bush. This creates a clear picture of the wind's strength. We are also told they saw the flames tall and furious. This is to show how big and fierce the fire was. On another level, we are told they saw the roof fall and watched the fire die down as quickly as a twig fire dies. This is to indicate how insecure the houses were. We are also told the houses belched people. This is to indicate the large number of people that followed Kcse as he went to sell the pearl. Students should use such expressions in their written and oral communication. We also see elements of irony in the character of the doctor and the priest. We need to examine these elements of irony, imagery, and symbolism. We should also not forget the songs in the novel and their effect on delivery of the theme. All these elements contribute to making the story interesting. And on that note, we come to the end of today's episode of Kcse English, in which we looked at the application of the moral lessons learned from The Pearl by John Steinbeck and the aesthetics of the novel. In our next episode, we are going to bring you analysis of A Doll's House. On behalf of my crew, Neka and Pambi, I would like to invite you to subscribe to this channel so that you receive our updates. Do not forget to like, share, and comment. I am Igara Kabaji saying goodbye.